Hello and welcome. In this video, we will learn to use the map function. Alright. The map function takes in a function as its first parameter and then an iterable as its second parameter. And what it does is it returns an iterator that applies this function to every item of this iterable. Or in other words, the map function applies a given function to all the items in a collection or an iterable. Alright, I will explain you how to use this with a simple example. Alright, so here I will say def and I will say square, and inside the brackets I will say num, and then inside this function I will return num to the power of 2. Alright, so this function takes in a single number and then returns its square by raising it to the power of 2. Alright. Now, down here, I will create a list of numbers, and inside this, I will have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright. Now, what I want to do is use this square function on every number in this list. Alright. So one way to do this is by using a normal for loop. Okay. So here I will create a blank list by the name squared numbers. Okay. And here I will say for num in numbers, and in the for loop I will say squared numbers dot append, and inside brackets I will say square and num. Okay, and after this I will print squared numbers. Alright, so when I run this, I get 1, 4, 9, 16 and 25, all of which are the squares of these numbers. Correct? Yes. So how did we get this? In the first iteration, 1 from this list will be stored in this variable num, and it will be sent to our function, which is square. Square returns the value after raising it to the power of 2. So 1 to the power of 2 is 1. So that 1 will be returned to this, and it will be appended to this blank list, which is squared numbers. So 1 would be the first value in this list. Next, in the second iteration, 2 from this list will be stored in num, and it will be sent to this function. 2 to the power of 2 will be done, and the resulting value 4 will be returned back. So this would be 4, and it will be appended or added to this list, which already has 1 in it. So the next value would be 4. And the same process goes on with 3, 4 and 5. Alright. So this is how we get a list of the square of each number. Alright. So this is the normal way to achieve it. But then the map function was specifically designed to handle this for us. So instead of this for loop, let us use the map function. Alright. So I will delete this and I will copy the syntax of the map function and paste it here. Okay. So the first input needs to be our function, which is square. So we will have square here. And then the second input needs to be the iterable, which is just our list of numbers. Alright. So the map function is going to take our square function and apply it to each of the numbers in this list. Alright. Now let us have this in a print function and let us run this. When we run it, we get a map object. So this is Python's way of trying to save memory. Alright. Now this object is iterable, meaning we can iterate over it using a for loop. So let us do that now. I will close this and I will say squared numbers is equal to map function. And now I will say for num in squared numbers print num. Alright. So when I run this, I get 1, 4, 7, 16 and 25 as the output. Alright. Let me close this. So this is how we can use a for loop to iterate over the object. Okay. If you do not want to do this, and if you want to keep it as a list when we are done mapping, we can enclose this function within a list function. Alright. So let us do that now. I will delete this and here I will say print and inside I will say list and inside brackets I will have this. Okay. So we are typecasting this to a list. Okay. So now when I run this, I get a list with all the numbers squared. Okay. So using the map function, we have applied the square function to each number in this list. Alright. Next, if we do not like to define a separate function, we could use a lambda function instead. And by doing this, we do not clutter the namespace, and also we don't have to think of unique names for each function. Alright. So let us do that now. So now in the place of square, I will say lambda num, and after num a colon, and after this colon we will have this expression. So I'll copy and paste it here. Alright. So this is the parameter and this is what we would like to return. Alright. I will comment this out and I will run this and get the same result. Alright. So instead of defining a function, we can also use a lambda function. Alright. Next, in the previous video, we had learnt about list comprehension, right? So we can use a list comprehension too instead of using the map function. Alright. So what we would do is, we would say squared numbers and inside the brackets, we would say num to the power of 2 for num in numbers. All right. And then we can print squared numbers. All right. So let me comment this out and let me run this. So we get the same result, right? So we can use this or we can use this too. All right. So it is a personal choice. Okay. So this is about the map function. It applies a given function to all the items in a collection one by one. Okay.